Some of you might not know this, but I have a pretty large body of work that I've created. So let me flip the camera so you can see. I even created a mind map that shows this body of work. So So for example, I wonder if you can see it if I turn it around like that. But anyways, this is a mind map. And so there's these three things I created called the 3 stages of spiritual evolution: holding, paradox, and still point as community. So from these 3 things, everything comes up. So for example, there is the 6 levels of knowing. So first there is the 3 stages of spiritual evolution, which is happiness or peace, freedom, and then fulfillment. So from these, we come up with the 6 levels of knowing yourself or being yourself, the 4 kinds of anger, sacred rage, adult temper tantrum from childhood wounds, the anger from boundary violations, and from the feedback loop between social oppression and internal repression. Then there's the 3 kinds of desire, which is your cravings, your programming, your addictions, right there. Then there's your core desired feelings. Then there's desire from the void or the silence, sharing ecstasy, completion. And then there is also co-creation versus manifestation is one of my models. And embracing difficult emotions. From there I created the article, The Positive Uses of Negative Emotions, as well as the process of healing called Asking Pain for Its Message. So on the right side, there is still point as community. And for that to happen, I created the mutual epiphany practice. My mission is to create nurturance culture. Then there's the museship model of relating. From that comes contextual dating, being a source of stability and nurturance for everyone in the room, relationship dating and coaching workshops that I used to teach, and then what I call destiny incubation. And you could also call this the alignment code, really. This whole thing is related to the alignment code. So that would be discovering your heart virtue, your superpower, your core desired feelings, the community you're here to serve, to co-create, contribute towards problem you were born to solve. Hi, Lisa. Discovering, and then from there you get into Phoenix Awakening. By the way, Phoenix Awakening is part of another model that I've created called the 6 stages of visibility. So from all of these below, you can create either your perennial seller, which is a book or a piece of art that will last, that'll make an impact even 500 years from now, or an idea virus, which is a shorter piece of art, like an article that you write or a poem that reaches millions of people in a few days, or it reaches a few thousand in a few days. If it's a mini idea virus, then it's a purple cow. And beyond the purple cow is the Phoenix Awakening leading to the red pill. So I had to draw a mind map because I've created such a diverse body of work that includes guided meditations, logical frameworks, mental models, articles, videos, awareness practices, awakening tools, so much. I've written and created collectively over 600 articles and videos and logical frameworks and mental models, etc. Awareness practices, awakening tools. So, what are the 3 stages of spiritual evolution and what are the 3 kinds of desire? Let's start there, right? And what are the 6 levels of knowing yourself? Actually, let's start with the 6 levels of knowing yourself. The first level is knowing yourself experientially, well, conceptually, then experientially. For knowing anything else other than yourself, you only need these 2. So, for example, I can tell you what chocolate looks like, tastes like, but until you actually taste it, then you don't know what it is. That's knowing something experientially. And when you have these thoughts and feelings and identity, you can know all of that conceptually, and then you get to experientially experience this identity you've created for yourself. But because we are at least 3 beings in one, we're made out of relationships. There's a third way of knowing yourself that I call knowing yourself via distinction, where that is the first stage of awakening as well, in a sense, where you realize the difference between yourself as your identity, this collection of beliefs and thoughts and feelings and upbringing and even your energy parasites that are sending you all of these thoughts, that and who you really are as the creator of them. So that distinction. And once you wake up to that, which is what Breakthrough Awakening, my method of helping people overcome suffering, is about, then you get into knowing yourself via creation as the creator, where until you get to this 4th level, you think you're creating your own reality, but you're really just recreating other people's realities programmed into you. So, and once you wake up to this, you realize, you go from the to me stage of empowerment into the by me, where, I can actually create stuff. And you get to know yourself. It's like a painting, right? When you create a painting, you can create other people's paintings, so you can paint from your own original vision, and you can create your entire life as a canvas like that. Then there's the 5th level, which is the direct union between when there's no difference between subject and object. In the 4th level, you still see the difference between subject and object. In the 5th level, there's no difference between subject and object. There's a direct union where you allow the entire infinity of who you really are to move and embody your whole body, and your ego and your mind is completely out of the way. And it usually happens outside of time. Alright, and then there's the 6th level, which is usually an out-of-body cosmic union with everyone and everything. And of course there are levels in between the 5 and 6, when people have an ordinary out-of-body experience, but they don't have the cosmic union. And then there's my client who had an out-of-body experience in the body. So there is that too. So somewhere along these lines, we also move into more of what I call co-creation, co-creating your own reality. You move into what Michael Beckwith calls the through me and the as me stages of empowerment. Hi Raphael, go ahead and say hi, click some hearts, drop some likes. Let me invite a few more people to watch so that we can have some fun. Alright, so now let me get into the three kinds of desire because it's really related to that. So the first kind of desire is your cravings, programs, addictions. Remember when I mentioned other people's programming put into you? So a lot of it comes from the second level of knowing yourself, or even the first level, where you're still identified with your identity. This is where you're told that, success means having a big house, or success means having a trophy girlfriend in your arms, or success means being the owner of being a CEO of a big corporation, things like that. And you think that will make you happy, right? And so that is related to the first stage of evolution, peace or happiness. So in the first stage, a lot of our desires are still coming from our programming. So if you're spiritual, you either meditate, if you're materialistic, you go into the success route, or you might even go somewhere in between, which is a spiritual materialism route. And you start experiencing what I call docility masquerading as peace, or you start being obsessed with happiness. But wanting to be happy all the time is like wanting to eat chocolate all the time. It's delicious, but there is also lentils and salsa and beans and rice and cheesecake and cookies, all of these things. So, is this making sense? Comment below if you're already benefiting from this life, or what your aha moment is so far. Thank you. So, same thing with happiness, and same thing with your emotions, right? There is, feeling empowered, feeling centered. There's so many emotions for you to choose from other than peace and happiness. This feeling expanded, feeling boundless, spacious. Then there's feeling cozy and intimate, which are opposite emotions, right? In a sense, but they're both feel good. But then if you start feeling restricted, from going from cozy into feeling restricted, feeling tight, feeling way too inside, then you start feeling really uncomfortable and really bad. And this is where we're touching upon the second stage of spiritual evolution, freedom, when you allow yourself to feel all of your emotions. Really starts with emotional freedom. Then even when you're feeling the difficult emotions, it's okay, because there's always this undercurrent of freedom underneath anything you're going through. So this is important because sometimes you can't even tell the difference between a positive or negative emotions. Like, what's the difference between feeling sad or feeling moved, or feeling angry or feeling passionate? And so this is why when you numb one emotion, you numb the others as well, and you become like a robot, feeling content, but never feeling truly wild and free. And that small contentment is what I'm calling docility masquerading as peace. Like never picking a fight, never standing up for your values, your virtues, your beliefs, it's never standing up for justice and equality in the world, just staying really small, obsessed with feeling good. It's a very small way of living life. And alternatively, and this is related to the difference between co-desired feelings and cravings programming, when you're coming from the obsession with peace and happiness instead of freedom, you're still programmed by all of these things. And so let's say that what you really desire is to feel cozy, but your programming tells you that you should have a big house. So you work 80 hours a week to get that big house, you drain yourself, and you get the big house and you're still not satisfied. Why? Because what you actually wanted was to feel cozy. So a tiny house would have been better. Now, on the other hand, if what you really wanted was to feel more spacious or boundless, then a big house actually makes sense. But even then, you can just go to the ocean or the mountains and just stretch your arms to feel spacious. So this is why it's so important to break it down into what you actually want to feel. So I've known about this for a long time through my practice in Usazu, but Danielle Laporte codified it and coined the term co-desired feelings. I believe she did. I don't know if some other people might have done as well before her. So, but that was the first person I knew who came up with that term. So, but there's something even deeper than co-desired feelings. There's desire from the silence, from the void, and this is where we get into the third stage of fulfillment, the third stage of evolution that I call fulfillment, beyond freedom, is, and this is related to the alignment code as well. So once you get into co-desired feelings, you're getting into the fourth stage of knowing yourself as well, because there's a simple test to know if something is really your desire or other people's desire, is to visualize yourself living that desire, living in that big house, or talking to your father, or whatever it may be. And if you feel nothing at all when you visualize that, then it's definitely a loop of programming just in your head. But if you do feel something, and especially if you feel your core desired feelings, then that is your true desire. And this is why it's good to have a session on core desired feelings, and more importantly, the larger context of the alignment code with me, so you can tell the difference. And also, if you feel bad, then not only is it not your desire, then it might even be dangerous for you. So this is where it's important to ask your body for the message. So again, if you're watching this just right now, go ahead and drop some hearts and likes and comment with what you're getting out of this so far, before I get into the third kind of desire. Okay, no comments? Alright, so let me continue. So the third kind of desire, which is how you experience fulfillment, is you can have a taste of it in meditation. My client yesterday was actually telling me about this, where sometimes when we experience trauma as a child, there's this theory or idea that it's in many indigenous cultures, this idea that the soul leaves the body and fragments into many tiny pieces and goes into other realms or even other dimensions, other universes, and only a tiny part of us remains. And this is what seemed to have happened to her. And after doing a lot of cleanings and cord cuttings and healings, we had all the parts of her come back into her body, and there was still a little girl part of her remaining up here, and we told her it was safe to come back, and it came back. And suddenly, for the first time, she was like a newborn looking at the grass, the trees, and it was like, oh my god, I saw this grass before, but it's now like, it's like, wow, it's like I'm seeing this for the first time. She had this sense of awe and wonder. It's like, wow. And she said she's never felt like this in decades. She never felt more me. And she told me last night she's been feeling this way the entire 2 weeks. And now it's like now the question for her is, where do I go now? What do I do? Because now she wants to share herself, her deepest self, with others, this completion that she felt. And so it happens most powerfully and deeply and effectively in a session with me, because I come from the logical framework of the 6 levels of knowing yourself, right? So anyways, when she said that, I was like, you experience what's sometimes experienced when we just sit in the silence in meditation for an hour, and at first there's all of these chaos of the mind, the thoughts and beliefs and cravings and programmings, the mind trying to fight itself. And then about half an hour or 45 minutes into it, there is a total silence. All the thoughts disappear. Then eventually even all of the desires disappear. Everything disappears, and there's just this total silence. Nothing at all. You might even experience that as nothing and everything at once. In fact, even last night she described what she was feeling in the session with me as feeling whole and empty at the same time. So comment below, have you ever felt that way in meditation or in any other context? Alright, so anyways, and out of that silence, that completion, because at first it's all of your old repetitive thoughts. It's said that we have the 60,000 of the same thoughts over and over. And isn't that crazy? So, and all of that disappear, right? And we have this total silence, this sense of completion. And then a new desire pops up. And it's just to share this completion with others. And the question becomes, how do I share it? And from there, new paintings and poems, new expressions that give people a taste of what you felt so that they can feel it too. That shows up. Or even a new invention that makes the world more free so that people have a taste in physical reality of what you felt in that meditation. I just had an epiphany, even as I'm describing this. So much. This is the ultimate way to be creative, really, and to serve the world and to truly manifest. And sometimes even new kinds of guided meditations or awakening tools or awareness practices suddenly come up Hi, Sukhwinder. Sure. You might want to watch the replay too, because I've said a lot. But I was just talking about the third kind of desire. So I talked about cravings, which is one kind of desire. Cravings, programmings, addictions, and then core desired feelings, and then desire from the silence. And I was giving the example of people wanting the big house but actually wanting to feel cozy and not feeling happy when they get the big house, because what they actually wanted was to feel cozy, so a smaller house, a tiny house might have been better. Likewise, people who have addictions like smoking a cigarette, for example, maybe what you actually want is to feel relaxed, but if you're addicted to the strategy and you don't know the difference between the feeling and the strategy, then you don't realize that maybe meditating or even just taking a deep breath might be a better way to feel more relaxed. And and then the deepest kind is when you share from the dark void, from the deep silence. And this is where the alignment code resides as well, where your superpower resides, your heart virtue, the problem you were born to solve, the solution you're here to create, all of it is there. And the book that you're here to write, if you're here to write a book, that will be read by people even 500 years from now, that will make an impact 500 years from now. On the idea virus, which is an article that you write. So all of that comes from that deep silence. And when you work with me on the Alignment Code Initiation Program, which I'm starting next week, you can do this on your own. It might just take you a longer time because you don't have the logical frameworks. And I have the entire framework so that you know what you're looking for when you go into the deep silence. So that it's not so random. It's not so coming randomly. And if your path is to find it randomly, that's okay. That's your path. And that's fine too. But if your path is to find it more systemically through a mentor who's been through it all, and who's brought it all together into one simple thing that I call the alignment code, with its component parts, like your superpower, your primary love language, which are really the same, your heart virtue, which is the virtue you're here to express, that moves you to tears and you have all of these goosebumps, your perennial seller or purple cow or red pill or idea virus that you're here to bring into the world, which is a physicalization of all of your gifts, which is all about sharing from that deep silence, and all of the paintings, the poems, the inventions, the writings, your deepest expressions that you're here to express and complete. Especially if your greatest fear is to leave this life incomplete, or your expressions incomplete, unshared, unexpressed, or if you're feeling lost, or if you're feeling like you want more meaning in your life, this program is really great for you. And especially if you've been duped or manipulated by so much of the spiritual lies and stuff and manipulation, this program is great for you. Although my discernment consulting, which is related, might be better for you initially. I can post a link to that too. So yeah, so when you get into the third kind of desire, you also get into the third stage of spiritual evolution, which is fulfillment. Because when you start sharing from it, so fulfillment, unlike happiness or peace or freedom, which is its first two stages, it doesn't come from meditating in the Himalayas all day long. Fulfillment comes from community, contribution, connection, communion, empathy, compassion. from connecting with others in community. Isn't it wonderful that it's a built-in mechanism that we're required to connect with others, to be in community, and not be selfish and stay in our own little rooms? That to be fulfilled, we have to connect. It's a beautiful, beautiful mechanism. There's three kinds of desire and the three stages of spiritual evolution combined with the 6 levels of knowing yourself. It's fucking amazing. So Sukhvinder, let me know if you understood my summary of the longer version of what I said earlier. And if you don't understand, I recommend watching the replay. And imagine many people, this is where still point as community comes in. My vision ultimately is many people who have discovered their alignment code coming together as community, who have their own personal practice. Because part of the alignment code is just making a simple statement about yourself that instantly makes you feel chills and peace and freedom deeper than decades of meditation could take you. And you still need meditation, of course, but this is so much more powerfully deep that you can just make a simple statement about yourself and suddenly it's like you feel more than self-love, you feel in awe with yourself. That's part of the alignment code. That's your heart virtue or heart print statement. And in a group of people staying together, completely connected to the deep silence. Even just a group of people completely connected to the deep silence, that deep source inside yourself. Some people might call it God, the divine inside yourself, your true self, coming together with their own individual practice, but coming together as community, and then creating something beautiful together, co-creating something beautiful. Even that is fucking beautiful. But when they're all connected to the alignment code, it's like, whew, it's another level. So that's why I'm so excited about this. In fact, my vision ultimately is to bring all of these people together and work on a focused project together that will solve a big billion-dollar world problem and co-create a solution together, almost like the ultimate business incubator. And someday I will do that too. Alright, so for now, just send me a private message if you're interested in the alignment code, and I'll create a sales page soon and post a link to that. And I also have an interview with Michael Ellsberg coming up today, and it might be on YouTube. It will be on YouTube and podcast for sure. I'll be interviewing him at noon today, and he's the author of The Last Safe Investment, Spending Now to Increase Your True Wealth Forever, and reading that book can get you close to the alignment code, as well as help you dismantle a lot of deception about what it takes to invest and sustain yourself for a long time, which is why I'm interviewing him. And so they'll be on YouTube and Facebook and podcasts, and possibly on Facebook Live as well. So Sukhvinder says, have a good feeling about your alignment code program. Yeah, so send me a private message and we can schedule a discovery call so that you can learn more about this, including the investment and pricing and if it's right for both of us and stuff like that. It's a 4-week group program called the Alignment Code Initiation, and it's the first step on the journey with me. Then you join the 10-week one-on-one program called Alignment Code Activation. Then the third is the 1-year program, the Alignment Code Mastery, and you can join at any level. And if you join the 10-week or the 1 year, you get the 4-week group program for free as a bonus. Because I think the group energy is so important, and which is why I'm limiting it to 6 people and And I haven't even done much advertising. This is almost my second officially announcing this. And I already have one spot filled. There's only 5 spots left. And I'm limiting to 6 people because I want both the best of both worlds. The individual attention of one-on-one sessions, as well as the power of group magnification, group of people magnifying each other's gifts and supporting each other. So, I mean, like I said earlier, imagine a group of people so connected to their superpower and their alignment code that we just magnify each other and take us to another level. A group of people that deeply fulfilled, that connected to the deep silence, coming together and creating a larger, beautiful, complete, deep, infinite silence, and connected to souls and co-creating something beautiful together. It's just amazing. Alright, Sequinda says, sure. Alright, great, yeah. So we'll be in touch. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a wonderful day. Bye.